Lewis Hamilton has just put Ferrari on pole for the sprint at Silverstone, and the margin was almost impossible to believe. Just 0.011 seconds separated him from Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli, the championship leader. Ferrari hasn't looked like the quickest package all weekend, and Hamilton hadn't looked like the fastest driver heading into the session. Yet when sprint qualifying ended, it was Hamilton's name at the top. And once you dig into the telemetry, the story gets even more surprising. Hamilton's best lap read 128.376. Antonelli's was 128.387, 11 thousandths of a second between first and second, a gap you can't even see with the naked eye. Here's the strange part. Split that lap into sectors, and Hamilton isn't fastest in any of them. He doesn't lead the opening sequence, isn't fastest through the middle, and doesn't own the high-speed corners Silverstone is famous for. Every section has someone else's name on top, yet added together, he still comes out ahead. That's not how pole is usually won. Normally, the fastest lap belongs to whoever dominates one part of the track, straight line speed, or one unbeatable sequence of corners. Hamilton's lap has no such moment. Instead, it comes down to one single point on the circuit. Both drivers hit the first braking zone together and match each other through the opening corners. If anything, the Mercedes looks slightly more stable. That fits the season so far. Antonelli leading the championship, Hamilton stuck in the midfield. For most of this lap, the telemetry says Antonelli is actually the quicker driver. Then both cars arrive at Village, the tight left-hander at turns 3 and 4, where Silverstone briefly forgets its flowing rhythm. It's slow, awkward, and easy to lose time in without even noticing. That's exactly where Hamilton built his pole lap. Watch both laps side by side through Village, and the first real gap appears. Hamilton gets the Ferrari slowed, rotated, and back on full throttle a fraction earlier than Antonelli. It's a tiny advantage, but it doesn't stay in that corner. It carries through every meter that follows, and by the finish line, it's grown into 0.011 seconds. That's the whole story. One overlooked corner, driven better than anyone else all session, on a lap that wasn't fastest anywhere else. Time gained in a slow corner doesn't disappear. It travels with you, building through every straight and corner until it shows up on the timing screen. And this wasn't luck. Luck is a slipstream, a gust of wind, someone else's mistake. None of that happened here. This was a driver mastering the one part of the track where the car matters less and the driver matters more. Village isn't a corner that rewards raw engine power, and it doesn't favor aerodynamic grip the way Silverstone's high-speed bends do, where the quickest cars can simply carry more speed regardless of what the driver does. Instead, Village rewards precision, knowing the exact instant the car is ready to accept full throttle again, and having the confidence to commit just before anyone else does. Get on the power too early, and the rear steps out, costing everything you've gained. Wait even a fraction too long, and you've already left lap time behind. That razor-thin window is one of the hardest things to master in F1. And it's a quality Hamilton has had his whole career, long before the 7 titles, and long before Ferrari. But a pole isn't just about being fastest. It captures the competitive order at that exact moment. And here that picture is unusual. Antonelli arrived at Silverstone leading the championship. Hamilton has spent 2026 fighting in the midfield, in a Ferrari that looks better on Saturdays than Sundays. Many had started saying the precision that once made Hamilton untouchable had faded. The expected script was simple: Antonelli up front, Hamilton in the pack. Instead, the midfield Ferrari beat the championship leader by 0.011 seconds. Not because the car was faster, but because Hamilton nailed one corner better than anyone else. That distinction matters. If Ferrari had suddenly found half a second everywhere, you'd credit the car, and rivals could eventually match a faster car. But when pole comes from how a driver handles one difficult corner, it says the skill that made Hamilton one of the greatest is still there, even in a car that isn't the fastest on the grid. A faster car can be caught. Pure driving ability is much harder to replicate. If you enjoy this kind of telemetry breakdown, subscribe. Every race weekend, we break down the details the live broadcast skips. There's another detail worth noticing here. Hamilton's lap time of 128.376 is over 3 seconds slower than pole at this same circuit just 1 year ago. A huge gap on paper. But that's not a sign Hamilton has lost pace. It's a sign of how much this generation of cars has changed. These machines demand far more careful energy management through a lap than the cars that came before them. which means outright speed has dropped across the entire grid, not just for Ferrari. Today's cars demand heavy energy management, which has slowed outright pace and pushed the balance toward precision over raw power. As the field gets closer, drivers who can find lap time where the data says none exists become incredibly valuable. That's why these 0.011 seconds through Village matter more than they look. Every remaining track on the calendar has its own version of Village, a corner where tiny details create massive gaps. Hamilton didn't need the fastest Ferrari. He needed to master the one corner nobody else nailed, and he did. Ferrari have already confirmed Hamilton stays through 2027. After a rough run of races, that commitment had started to look shaky. For much of the season, every disappointing weekend reinforced the same narrative inside the paddock: that signing Hamilton had been the wrong move, and that the car would never give him the tools to fight at the front. This lap makes that narrative look a lot more premature. It doesn't erase a season of struggles, but it changes the conversation. The ceiling on this project is higher than the results so far have suggested, and sometimes one extraordinary lap is all it takes to remind everyone how high that ceiling really is. And it happened at Silverstone, his home circuit, in front of a crowd that was on its feet before the session even ended. Now, what this pole actually means: it's a sprint weekend, so this sets the sprint grid, not Sunday's Grand Prix. Hamilton launches from the front with clean air ahead of him. Antonelli lines up right behind. And there's barely a circuit Hamilton knows better than this one. Starting from pole is more valuable here than at many other tracks. Leading into turn 1 gives a driver clean air, control of the pace, and the ability to dictate the race instead of reacting to it. It also gives Hamilton the preferred inside line into the opening braking zone, letting him choose his approach while the rest of the field reacts around him. Antonelli now has the difficult task of trying to pass a Hamilton who won't make it easy, on a circuit where following closely is hard and overtaking is even harder. Hold the lead through lap 1 and keep the Mercedes just outside attacking range, and he can manage the sprint entirely on his own terms. But the advantage is delicate. A poor launch off the line throws him straight back into traffic, and everything he built with that qualifying lap can disappear within the first few seconds of the race. It's a huge advantage, right up until the moment the lights go out. Beyond the sprint, Sunday is still waiting. The nature of a sprint weekend means everything carries momentum. The sprint and every session before it shape confidence, preparation, and mindset heading into the Grand Prix. Hamilton has just given himself a significant boost at exactly the right time, in front of the crowd that wanted to see it most. But over a full race distance, the Mercedes still looks like the stronger package, and Antonelli remains championship leader for a reason. None of that has changed. This pole could end up being the highlight of the weekend before the Grand Prix exposes the same weaknesses Ferrari has had all year. One exceptional qualifying lap doesn't suddenly fix a team's race pace. Or there's another version of this weekend. One where the driver who just proved he can still find lap time nobody else can, uses that clean air at the front to turn 0.011 seconds into something far more meaningful on Sunday. Where sprint pole is only the first chapter of a much bigger story. Which version unfolds, only the race itself can answer. What we do know, on a Friday afternoon at Silverstone, in a Ferrari that wasn't expected to challenge, Hamilton found the entire gap between first and second in one slow corner. He simply drove better than anyone else. The timing screen shows 0.011 seconds. The telemetry shows where it actually came from. The one thing this season hasn't been able to take away from him: the ability to create lap time through pure skill. As F1 keeps shrinking the margins, the drivers who come out on top will be the ones who can find those final hidden fractions, where the car can no longer make the difference. That's the real story behind this sprint pole, and it came from the driver everyone had already started writing off. Now Antonelli starts right behind him. For once this season, Hamilton isn't the one chasing.